Good evening or good morning, everyone. We have Roquita in the house, all the way from
Alabama in the United States.
and we are, or I am in Vietnam. So we know that we have no distance, especially when we do different series of Joy or Grow with Jen podcast. We have amazing friends. We so thankful that they come from different places. Even we don't meet, but hey, we're going to have a great conversation today about how do you really ignite your passion in what you do and even turn it to become a career like our friend today, Roquita. So let's have a chance to know more about you.
Yes, well, thank you for having me, Jen. Like I said, I live in Alabama. I am originally from Connecticut, though. So I moved to Alabama just a couple years ago. I am a certified world-class public speaking coach. I work with a lot of primarily Christian female professionals and entrepreneurs as private clients. And I also work with different kinds of organizations to do workshops to train their staff or their members in having better presentation skills. And I do different types of workshops online where people can sign up to be better speakers. So I do a few things. I offer a few different types of services, but yeah, my business tagline is slay the stage. So slay the speaking stage, be a powerful presenter, in other words.
Okay, so we can be the great presenter today online with us, joining our great Roquita. So let's talk about the moment that you found that you want to be on that stage or you want to be behind somebody on that stage. What was that moment and how was that process to really have that moment?
Well, the funny thing is, I did not like public speaking growing up. I didn't even like public speaking as an adult, to be honest. When I was in my 20s, I got into it because of work. I had a job where I had to start speaking in front of my team to lead meetings. We were doing presentations at work. So it wasn't like I could hide behind my team members. Like I really had to be more visible, which is good for your job because you're moving up in the company. People know who you are, but it's also horrible because you're like, I don't want to speak in public on the other hand. So that's what made me get into it. I think maybe one of the turning points where I was like, okay, I really would like to do this is I was in a speech contest in 2014. I'm a member of Toastmasters too. I won the speech competition, beat a lot of people in my district. It was an amazing honor to win that. Then I started teaching some children. Children were my original first clients. It was a family, 3 children. I got the public speaking bug from there. You know, I'm a teacher at heart, so became a certified world-class speaking coach, started a business, and I've been speaking ever since.
Wow, so it was the opportunity, or you would say the situation where you had to take that lead, or you had to take that opportunity to do what you want to do, and you had to add that skill of public speaking, or let's say that kind of role. So how was that process of you developing from that person who didn't want to really be on that stage, and then now you coach people? And how did you really identify the style that you're going to use when you have people to find their own style?
Your first question was how did I transition from work, from my job to doing it now for my business? So for a few years, I was doing my business part-time while working my 9-to-5 job. So I have a marketing background. So that's what I did for years. I worked in marketing, but then I also did my business part-time. And then a few years ago, I decided to go full-time in my business. I did a lot of stuff a few years ago, just made a big change. And one of them was going full time. I just decided to take the big leap. I will say that probably any entrepreneur would tell you it's not always easy making the transition from working your 9-to-5 job to becoming an entrepreneur. So there's been a lot that I've had to learn to be a good business person. But just being able to see how my clients blossom from being unsure speakers who are not very confident to speakers who are confident and they love to go out there and share their message. That's one of the things that really does keep me going, especially when some days might feel really hard and you're trying to even remember why you're doing this in the first place. Seeing those people that you're working with really just come into their own and develop into the speakers that they probably weren't sure that they could ever be, but I knew that they could be. That's really been fulfilling and something that has really encouraged me in to keep going in what I'm doing.
So the meaning and the impact behind that. And so we go back up a little bit, like you had the transition to go from, okay, you find out that you're pretty great at that, and you later on you have some people, and then you find that if you go full time on it, you would have more people. So how did you really like design that performance at work and in the new career? Let's say not a full time yet, because we had a topic about passion and performance today, and we can touch on that point of the process. I think where most of us stuck is like when we want to do it, but we find like, oh, maybe one day, and the one day never happened. And then we also don't want to go full time right away because you want to take the risk. So you had a transition. How did you design that and ensure the performance in both the business and the work? Yeah.
How did I balance both of those? My
They
9
want
to
to
5.
balance. Yeah.
Good question. Good question. I think number one, making a decision. That's just the first step. I decided that I was going to have this business. It was something that I was going to do, even though I had to work my 9-to-5. So, I would do my 9-to-5 during the day, working in marketing. I worked at a credit union. And then when I would come home, that's when I would have my clients. I would do my clients in the evening, have my private sessions. So yeah, it's a lot. It could be a really long day working your 9-to-5 and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Like, do I even have the mental capacity? But when you love something, you do pull that energy from within you. Like, you're going to have that energy for your clients because you like what you're doing. Like, it's work that has a purpose for you. So that was essentially how I was able to balance it, just deciding that, no, this is something I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I have this business, even though I may have to do it part-time for a little while until I can get this business stable enough and, so that I can do it full time. But until then, I'm just going to do it after work. I'm going to work on it on the weekends. I'm just going to make this business what it needs to be so that I can get to a place where I can do it full time and I'll be in a more solid place to do it. So that's just how I did it. I just decided that I was going to do it and I just did it part-time around my 9-to-5 job. I just made it work.
Wow. That's so straight to the point. That was the decision that you made. So how can our friend here who are listening to us right now, they may also discover some of the things that they like to do and they kind of think they probably can make it a career. But how could you at that time know that it would be your full-time career later on? Why it had to be full-time? Why it could have been like just, doing a side, like in the evening here and there?
Well, for me, I I didn't want to do anything else full time. I always knew that this would be the end game, even though I'm working at my 9 to 5 in marketing during the day. I knew that eventually I am going to transition to making my business part-time. I'm going to make it full-time. So for me, that was always a goal. Now, when that was going to happen, I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. It wasn't like I had a specific year in mind. It was just that the business had to get more solid. Like I knew I had to get more clients and whatnot. But to answer your question, it was just something that I knew was always going to be a goal. As far as how did I get into this and finding your passion and deciding that this is something that you want to do, I think that's going to be different for every person. And I know with some people, it's hard to find, well, what is my passion? What is it that I really want to do? I mean, even adults, it's not just something that kids or, people in college are still trying to find out. There are adults who are still trying to find that out, and they might have been working in their field for decades, but they know that there's something that they want to do. I would say first, look at the things that you really are interested in. What is it that you love to do that if no one paid you, you would still do it anyway because you love it that much? I remember that was something that one of my professors in college, she said that my senior year of college, and I never forgot that. She said, look at what it is that you really like to do. What is something that you love to do? Whatever that is, that's what you need to be doing. That needs to be your life work. It's just a matter of being honest with yourself and really having that introspection. So that's what I would recommend. I mean, it probably sounds oversimplified, but seriously, what is it that brings you joy? Is it something that can be monetized? Okay. Is this something that people would actually pay you for? Because it's one thing to have passion in something, but there also a market for it? Yeah. Will people pay you for your talent? So you have to look at both of those things. Is this something that you can really make a living from? Do your research, like what is, what kind of money can you make from it? What kind of life can you have from it? You got to look at your lifestyle with your business too. Because there are a lot of people at businesses, but like they don't really have a life outside of their business. Their life is their business. It's almost like they can't escape. So you want to be able to balance your life with your work. So that's something else to look at as well. What do you see your life as with the job that the business that you created?
Beautiful. It's like with about some keywords that you talk about, you always knew it. It's something I would call like intuition, or what do you call it? And how did you have that kind of feeling? How do a person who listening, or a person who listening right now can really check in to really know like that's it. That is the thing that I'm going to do as my life career or my life work. But when it gonna happen, it doesn't need to be exact, but I know it is something for me. How was that process that you knew that?
Well, like I said, I really enjoyed public speaking. I didn't think I would. It was just me wanting to get better at a certain skill. Public speaking is a soft skill. It was something that I decided I needed to get training in, which I did. So I never set out to be somebody who spoke on a bunch of stages. I certainly did not set out to teach people how to be better public speakers. What happened is that other people started seeing my talent a lot. They were like, oh, you're really good at speaking. Can you teach me how to do this? Or can I have a one-on-one session with you? Even when I first had my clients who were the 3 children, the family, I remember the father saying to me, I don't know what you do for your regular job, for your 9 to 5, but you are a really good teacher. And he was right. If there is one thing I know about myself, I am a good teacher. I am able to break things down for people and teach them in such a way that they are going to get it. It's one thing to know what you're doing, like when you know how to do it, but sometimes you don't know how to teach other people how to do it. Teaching really is a skill. So it was other people a lot of times seeing my talent and they were like, oh, you're so good at this. And people just wanting help and coming to me for coaching. And that made me really think about it. Like, this could really be a business. So then that made me start seeking out programs where I could become a certified public speaking coach, which I did because I wanted those credentials behind me. Yes, I knew that I was a good speaker, but I also wanted to have the official coach credentials behind me. So that's what made me go even further with that and become more legit, as I like to call it.
Well, beautiful. So we can see here, like you did it and you wanted to be better at it and you got the feedback from people, the market, then you had the joy in it. So what was the element that you didn't have in your marketing job? What was the main element that you didn't have in the marketing job?
So, even though I have my business that I'm working in full time, I do still love marketing, Jen. I think I will always be interested in marketing. With marketing, you have to be both creative, but you also have to be analytical. You have to have both sides of the coin when it comes to marketing. So I am still fascinated by marketing and I always will be. And the fact that I have a business, I do still need to know marketing. So it's a good thing that I do have a marketing background because I can use those same skills to help me to promote and market my business even better. So it wasn't that, like I didn't hate marketing or anything. It's just that I knew that it wasn't something that I saw myself doing for long. I just liked public speaking, teaching it, and being on stages more. That's really what it is. So I still like marketing. I still have to utilize it. It just wasn't something that I saw myself doing much longer. Just, when I first got into marketing, there was that spark there because I wanted to get in marketing so bad. My degree isn't in marketing. I have a business degree. So I did have to take some marketing classes, but that was not really my focus in college. It wasn't until after college where I realized, okay, I really want to be in marketing. And sometimes that happens. We figure out what we want to do after college. So I was able to get into it and I had that career for a long time, but sometimes things change. Sometimes you have a different dream and that's okay. Sometimes people think that whatever career you started in, you have to have that career for the rest of your life, and you don't. Yes, it's not going to be easy to make a shift. There's going to be that bumpy road there for a little while from where you are to the career that you want to have. And that bumpy road in the middle looks different for everybody, how you're going to get from here to here. But I think once you realize what it is that you do want to do, you will start finding a way to get there. So it looks different for everybody.
Yeah, lovely. So it's like you made marketing to become a tool for your passion, to make it better in the performance of your passion business. So yeah, lovely. What was the fear that you had that you said, like, or maybe you didn't call fear, but the time where you didn't want to continue, but you got back up. What was that?
You mean after I
Yeah.
transitioned to my business, the fear of transitioning to it?
Or when you started this at full time, you said that you had a lot of times you kind of wanted to stop, right? And or you had some difficulties. And I think every one of us gonna face it. And the bigger we go, the bigger the challenge is gonna happen. I remember last time we had a team building activity, and that startup team member said, now we have you guys, and like new team member, like great people. We will we're gonna go better because we already went down like last year. So one of the new guys said, like, you are preparing for the bigger, like, going down. So I think that we always gonna face some challenges on the way, and it get bigger where it also help us to get bigger. So what was that for you?
Okay. I think I would say a challenge is when you are first going from being an employee
Mm-hmm.
to having your own business. There really is a mindset shift that has to happen because there are certain things that certain ways that you may approach things when you are an employee, but you have to think about it differently when you are the CEO of your business, essentially. Like, one thing is you really have to think about delegation. You
Mm-hmm.
have to think about that when you own your own business, because when you're starting out, especially if you can't afford to hire people for certain things, it falls on you to do a lot as a CEO, but that can only last but for so long. That's only going to be sustainable for so long. You will burn yourself out. And I've heard the stories from other entrepreneurs when they started too, when maybe they just didn't have that cash flow like that to hire somebody else. So they were the marketing person. They were the ones creating the templates. They're the ones conducting the trainings, of course. They're literally doing everything.
Everything.
So you are burned out. So I think that's a challenge. And I mean, for the most part, like, it pretty much is still me a lot in my business. I will get contractors. I'll hire contractors for certain projects that I may have.
Yeah.
Which is still good, because I don't want to do everything, because if you're doing everything, you can't really operate in your zone of genius. I can't do the thing that I am best at. So I would say that was probably a challenge. You really have to get out of the employee mindset and shift to the CEO mindset. And part of that is knowing that you cannot do everything. There are some things, some tasks that you have to hire other people for, even if it's just short term. Maybe you're not bringing somebody on full time into your organization. Hire somebody on a project by project basis if you have to. Get a contractor. You have to free up your time for what you need to do best. So that would be my answer for that.
Wow, beautiful. I think that is like letting go and
Yes.
yeah, really like be selective and letting go and do what matter the most. So that's this journey, right? I even have a friend who say like, okay, you want to learn about leadership? Just try to get somebody on your team and let's see how you handle it. And then here we go. Just leave it. Don't need to go to any school, but just leave it. So thank you. And what's next then? What next for your passion and performance level?
Well, right now, something that I'm doing is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I have my group coaching program, Slay the Stage. So I have a few ladies in that. Very excited. I've been wanting to do group coaching for a long time. Well, it's more like a mentorship program. We meet monthly, twice a month. So that's been bringing me a lot of joy right now, working with these ladies and just helping to groom their skills more when it comes to public speaking. So that's been something exciting. I would say as far as what I'm looking forward to before the end of the year, being on more stages, because I've been doing a lot of the coaching other people, which is my business. But this year I'm like, I'm going to make sure that I am out there speaking more as well. So that's what's going on with me right now. One of my major goals for this year.
Yeah, come to Vietnam then. Yeah. So, yeah, like we are in Vietnam right now. In Hanoi, let's say the number of Toastmasters is like, you can count on the hand. So it's very few compared to the number of people we have in Vietnam, 100 million people, Hanoi, around 8 million people. And you see that great potential. And it also reflects on the development of the country. And now Vietnam is just blooming. So I think there's a lot of opportunities going to be here for you or other countries. The most important thing, you decided to do that. And I think anyone who listening to us right now, if they can make any decision, either small or big, to do something that matters to them, either make it become a career or to really hone that skill like you did with your public speaking the first time, and it turned to be your later on passion-based business. So what is the one thing that you always found from people that you coach, something that from within them that you saw like it the major thing that hinder them to really be a confident person?
It's a good question. Something that hinders them from being a confident person. I know one main thing that I am big on when I work with my clients is I let them know that I'm not trying to change who they authentically are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm going to help them to be a better speaker. I'm going to help them to transform into being that confident communicator, but that doesn't mean that they have to sacrifice who they naturally are, the person that they authentically are. I tell them, you can be yourself, but you have to be the best version. You want to be the best version of yourself when it comes to speaking. So it's not about changing who you are, because I think sometimes people think that they have to morph into something that they truly aren't. And that's just not true. You can bring all of your personality to the stage, your gestures, but we're going to help you get your gestures more refined, more polished, so that they're not distracting. So you can bring your true self to the stage, because when you aren't your true self, that's what makes people nervous. You will get nervous there because you don't feel like yourself, because you aren't being yourself. So I think that's just a misconception that people have sometimes, that they have to change someone into someone who they completely are not. And you don't. You just need to be the best version of yourself. And that's what I help my clients to be the best speaker who they already are. I'm just going to refine them. We're going to polish it up. We're going to put out an even better product, so to speak, of who they already are. That's what I tell them. You don't have to change who you are. Don't do that. That will make you nervous.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think it really takes time to experience that feeling or that saying, because it sounds like very simple and we may know it constantly, but when we practice it's really need the really like real experience. So it's like we have people talk to us that, okay, fake it and you can make it, and a lot of us probably have the assumption that we have to fake to be somebody, but actually it's more about like to learn that skill, but to use that skill to to bring more of us from inside to outside. So if you can give people, let's say, 3 practices, so they can really be themselves, but they're going to be confident and they're going to have that skill to really present their true self and connect with others. What would be that? Maybe 3 or 5, I don't know, practices that they can do.
What, so you're asking for
You like the
3?
practices? Yeah. It's like best practices or maybe habits that they can do to really learn that skill, but still being themselves.
Okay. 3 habits or 3 best practices to be a better speaker.
But still be themselves. Yeah, because I think it's like it requires practices daily. Yeah.
Number 1, I think you really have to know yourself, to be comfortable with who you are. You know, there are some people who just have a more serious personality that's just who they are. And then there are some people who are very bubbly. They just exude joy. It just like seems to come from them. So I think just knowing who you are, that's number 1. That's number 1. Who am I right now? Number 2, I would say, particularly when you start working with a coach, just be open to the suggestions that they give you. Sometimes people, you know, might want to fight back on some things, but a coach is really there to bring out the best qualities that they are seeing in you. So I think just trusting the process of how that coach is there to help you, you know, not being so afraid that you're pushing back so much. So I would say that's probably number 2. I think that's a good one. And then number 3, best practice. I would say record yourself. Before and after is how I like to put it. Compare. You got to compare. How do I look now when I'm speaking versus when I have worked with a coach, and I see the difference there? You know, that's going, you know, knowing where I am, where I'm starting now, and then looking at where I am once the coach has helped me, and just seeing that difference there, and just recognizing that, oh, okay, I really didn't have to change who I authentically was. It's important to record everything as you're going along with the process of trying to be a better public speaker, but also wanting to see, you know, be yourself. Recording is very important. So those would be my best practices.
Wow, I think this like powerful. Knowing ourselves, really looking at who really the person that we really are, or the best version of ourselves, and then with the other practices like you said. So let's talk about what about you? Like, how do you desire your next level of development, especially in this public speaking? And do you think that you're going to transition to another kind of career somehow, but maybe it's still using public speaking?
What was the first part of your question again?
So, like the next level of your public speaking, because I think it's a consistent and continuous learning. So what is that next level? How could you know that you have to have the next level? When to have it, and how you know that? What is the way to measure the next level and the current level?
Are you talking about someone who wants to be a better public
Maybe
speaker?
for
Like,
you, because maybe because you already get to this level right now, and for some of people, like they have certain success in their life, and some people say like if we stop growing, maybe we stop feeling alive. So do you have that continuous learning, and how can you measure the transformation? How can a person who's quite successful in what they do right now to really like take a step back and say, okay, I want to have the next level?
oh, yeah, you never want to be stagnant in whatever you do. So I'm very big on always wanting to keep my skills fresh. I always want to keep my craft fresh.
Mm.
So, so for me, it's like what got me here, meaning the space that I'm in now with my business or my life as a whole, whatever got me here is not going to get me there. Meaning you always have to keep learning. Like you said, you always have to keep growing. So I know for me, yes, even though I'm a public speaking coach, I am always looking at, are there any new best practices out there? Like for me, are there new ways better ways that I can teach my clients? What is new out there with public speaking, or what are some new technologies that are emerging? Like right now, AI, artificial intelligence, is huge. So how can you use that to help you with public speaking, for example? And there are new technologies, new products, things coming out there all the time. Like there's a service out there. It's called Yoodly, Yoodli, and that's good for somebody who would like to see what are some of those things that I may need to improve on when it comes to public speaking. It's artificial intelligence, it's a program and it's free to use. So something like that. How can I keep my skills fresh? What is new out there right now? I'm always reading. I'm always reading books. I'm always looking at webinars, trainings, anything like that, because I not only want to be a better coach for my clients, I want to be a better speaker as well. So I'm a continuous learner, Jen. It doesn't matter the medium. I'm going to watch videos. Like I said, I'm going to go on webinars. I'm going to go to conferences. I do all of that. Like I make sure that I stay in the loop with the speaking industry. I'm a part of the Black Speakers Network. I'm a partner with that organization. So that's been an amazing resource for me right there. So I think just always having an open mind, always willing to be a continuous learner, that's going to take you far. Whatever that looks like for you, reading, going to conferences, attending in person or online events to better your craft, then do that. There's not one particular way, but you do need to know what's always going on in, whatever you want to get better at. What is new out there? What is the buzz? Like I said, AI is one of the biggest buzz right now. So just being a continuous learner.
Wow, it's so beautiful. It's like we get into that field or that zone or that industry, and we continue to stay in that loop. I love that one. So my friends who are listening right now, stay in that loop and be a part of the contributors of the loop, because maybe other people who just comes into the industry probably going to look up to you as you've been there like longer than them, and that will be continue like collective loop for all of us. So we have some friends asking some question, and we go to that section with 2 questions, and then we're gonna go to the takeaway. And I don't know if I'm gonna ask the question directly, but I have one here. So, probably speaking, wow. If somebody here asking, he or she is not a leader, or it's not somebody has to be presenting out there, should he or she has to learn that one, because it seems like no reason, right? And even he or she doesn't want to make it as a career. So should they jump into it?
Should they learn public speaking? Should they take it?
They have no reason to do that, right? No opportunities, no push.
That's a good question. Public speaking is not just someone who's getting on the stage speaking in front of hundreds of people. It's not just that. And I think people do think that sometimes. Public speaking could also be you wanting to just get better as a whole talking. It could be one or two people that you're talking to, but also speaking as a whole, even if you're not someone, like I said, who wants to get on a stage, maybe you want to get better at speaking because you have to lead meetings. There are people who have to lead meetings at their job. So it's not like they're on some big stage. However, they might still feel nervous in front of a small group of people at a meeting. So learning those types of skills, public speaking for that, is still important. Also, people who have to be on a panel. If you have to be on a panel, anything like that, I have people who come to me for how they can be better speakers on a panel. Because with a panel, you're not always sure what questions you are going to be asked. That's off the cuff speaking. Some people are not comfortable with answering questions on the spot. That is still a form of speaking too. So there are different settings for speaking where you want to be comfortable in. And like I said, it doesn't have to be on a big stage. There are different settings where you may not be comfortable speaking. So I've had people come to me for that, for different things. They don't always want to be some big speaker on the speaking circuit going all over the world. It just might be, I want to feel more comfortable leading a meeting at work. I don't feel comfortable doing that. That's actually how I got started in public speaking. I wasn't comfortable leading the team meetings at my job. You know, I did not have any clarity. I knew I was being confusing the way that I was saying things. So that's why I went for public speaking training. I needed to be clearer. So those are some of the reasons why people would want to be a better public speaker.
Yeah, and as you said, you learn more about yourself. You gain the awareness who you really are as a person and the best version of yourself. So I think that one is worth, learning, and especially from you because you really focus on that. So the next question is passion and performance. I have a question, a friend asking, when you live or you work with your passion, you have emotion. It's like very, you feel motivated and you probably get pump up and you generate energy. So do you think that's going to influence on the performance, the decision you make because you had that emotion element in there? So what are you sharing about this question?
The question is,
It is more like the passion in the performance, right? Because the passion is mean that you're going to have a lot of emotion that probably we see in that way, but you can share whether it is true or not. And because of that, maybe that emotion will somehow lead to some kind of decisions and things like that not really based on, let's say, the logical thinking. So what is your thought on this?
Well, for anything, when you naturally have a passion for something, I do think that it will influence what you decide to do to some degree. I don't think it's just passion though, if that makes sense. Like, I might really want to do something. I'm talking about maybe in a business sense. Maybe I really want to do something, but it doesn't make sense business wise.
Yeah,
so I
something like
might
that.
have a passion for it. I might really like it, but I need to be very clear on if this is going to make sense to do from a business perspective. You have to be able to separate that and look at that. We're talking about just general passion for something that you're doing. I'm not talking about business right now. I think when you have passion for something, you're going to do it well. Number one, it's not going to feel like a chore. You're going to want to do it. You're going to love to do it. It's just going to be something natural. You're not even going to have to push yourself. So that passion is going to be it's going to be very effective in that sense. It's not going to feel like a job. You're going to want to do it. When you love something, you want to get better at it. You have a natural curiosity for how you can get even more proficient in it. So passion in that sense is really helpful.
Wow, that's beautiful how you break it down. And we now going to the very end, like 5 second game where people can take away some of your insights or your habits, because we need practice, right? It's not like something just hearing today and have some like motivation or momentum, but then go away. But it's about making it become our practice. So, what is the one book that you recommend people to read to really ignite the passion?
To ignite passion?
In whatever they want to do.
Know that I have a specific book to recommend on that. I have different books about public speaking. I could always recommend if people want to get better with that. I honestly don't, Jen. I don't have a specific book, something that it comes to when it comes to like passion. I don't have
What is
anything.
the book that influenced you the most? Let's talk about that one.
The book that influenced me the most? It's a good question.
Book that made you today. You are one of the books, right? Every one of us is like a book.
Trying to think. Give me a sec. I've read so many books, and now I'm like, what is one of the most influential books? Well, I put it like this: outside of the Holy Bible, number one. Then next, I would say one book that I love. It's a book by Carmine Gallo. He's also an expert on public speaking and storytelling. And he has a book. It's called Talk Like TED. TED meaning TED Talks.
Okay.
And that book, I have the book, and then I have the audio, the book on CD, and I've listened to it like countless times. There are so many good gems in that book. So that book was a big influence in me when it comes to being a better storyteller, a better speaker. It had a big impact on me. I would highly recommend that book.
Talk Like TED. Right, okay.
Talk Like TED.
Beautiful. Talk Like Roquita. Okay, so you have books also, right? You want to share more?
Oh, more?
Your book, the name of your book, if anyone who didn't check out yet.
Yeah, so I have a book. My book, I'm a co-author of this book, and it's called Speak Up, The Ultimate Guide to Dominate in the Speaking Industry. So was put out by the Black Speakers Network. There are like 30 experts who contributed a chapter to this book. So all experts in, public speaking, whether you need to know how to craft your message better, how to be a better speaker overall, like what are some tips you can use? Like I would speak to that. What do I need to do to get myself out there more, promote myself as a speaker? What kind of tools do I need to have as a speaker? Like you need to have a legitimate website. Like you need to have a website if you're a serious speaker. So all those things in there, different people talk about. Like if you want to be on a podcast, well, how do you get publicity for what you're doing? That book is like a one-stop shop for how to do all of this if you want to be a professional speaker. So again, it's called Speak Up, The Ultimate Guide to Dominate in the Speaking Industry.
So speak up, everyone, and check out on Roquita LinkedIn and website and social media. I think you can find it, and then speak up for yourself for what is important. So if you have one challenge for our friends who are living our conversation today to speak up for themselves, because I think every one of us is like something so the reason we come here, every one of us, I think, matters in life. So one challenge for us to speak up for ourselves. What is that challenge?
I would say be true to yourself, what you believe, your message, because sometimes I feel like there is a lot of pressure for people to feel like they have to say certain things.
Yeah, I
You know what I mean? Like, no, you have to believe this. You have to say this. You can't say this. Now, there's a way to say things, of course, but I just believe that a lot of people are feeling that pressure to just have to go along with the crowd sometimes. And no, like that you would be surprised at the amount of people who are looking for someone with a different perspective, someone who was probably thinking the same things that they are, but maybe they feel like they're alone in it. Like, don't be afraid. Like, don't feel like you have to parrot what everybody else is saying. Like, what do you really think about something? What is your perspective? We all have different experiences who have made us who we are today. And I think that is important, and you don't want to squelch that. So I just think it's important to keep your authentic voice out there. The voices that are usually different, have something different to say, those are the ones who often rise above the fray around what you hear all the time. So be true to yourself. What is it that you really want to say about something?
yeah,
Sometimes, and I'm not saying that's easy, I'm not saying that all. Sometimes it's hard. It can be hard to say the hard things sometimes, but you know, you need to
long-term
do it.
solution.
You need to do it.
Yeah, it's the right thing. Then we have to. So it's so beautiful that the challenge for all of us is to speak up and say it, even it's difficult, because that is how we're gonna feel that we are alive with what we do. Thank you so much, and I know that we can check out your website and all the things with your full name here. But do you wanna share any news coming in what you're serving right now for people, especially the people who work in the public speaking, or the people who really want to get inspired by you, where you turn your passion become a career? Do you have any news, anything that you want to share? Like you
Well,
coming
I
to
would say
which
first,
country, or you have any
well,
new
I'll give my
books?
website first. If anybody wants to find me, my website is my name. It's www.roquitajohnson.com. So you can find me there. You can find me all over social media. I'm very active on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I also have a Facebook business page. My YouTube page too, if you want to get some quick tips on how to be a better speaker, definitely follow me there. If you join my email list, you'll be able to keep up with what I have going on, and you'll be able to get public speaking tips right to your inbox. So I would say that's probably the best way to keep up with what I have coming up soon. Just get on the email list. But I'll be putting out information soon about future speaking engagement. So that's really what's coming down the pipeline. Just getting some things finalized just yet that I can't
Yeah,
mention, but they will be coming up soon.
looking forward to it. And for sure in Vietnam, I don't know when, but we plant the seed. As you said, we don't know exactly when, but we plant that seed, and we just know it happened as we connected, like I think by passion and by the the universe energy that I think we have right now. So one book that you will write about your life that we meet next time, or in the other life, what will be the name of the book that you would write next? That would be the last question. And I ask this for every one of us here. even you like to write book or not, but it's just a kind of a question to really make us to see the masterpiece of the life that we are building toward. Yeah, maybe one way. So what is that book that you probably can write or would write?
I think that book would be something around trust yourself. Trust yourself, honestly. I think sometimes people have trouble making those decisions for themselves. Like, I don't know if they're looking for other people to make those major life decisions for them. Because you see people do that a lot. They're like, well, what do you think about this? What do you think I should do? What do you think? I think it's fine, of course, to get counsel from other people, but ultimately, in the end, it's your life. You have this one life to live and make it great and live in your purpose. And I do think that we do have those instincts, each of us, on what we need to do to get to where we want to be. And I think we should trust those instincts more. You know, everything is not always outside of us. You know, a lot of things are inside of us. So it's just really zeroing in on that and looking at who we are. What is it that you really want to do? Being honest with yourself and yeah, trust your instincts.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much. I think it has a lot to do with our self, choose our authentic self and speak up and be that daily. And thank you for joining us today. Everyone, bring the joy to what you do every day, ignite it by being your best true self and start with speaking up even you feel that it's difficult, but it's important. So thank you so much, Roquita, for joining us today.